into Wales. Wales through a goal, slots it beyond Fodringer, and the Millers are in front in the South Yorkshire derby. And for the first time in 42 years, Rotherham United win at Bramall Lane. On the edge of the box, the Dauphin. The Dauphin! Oh, fantastic. Has scored an absolute screamer for Rotherham United. Rotherham United have secured their championship status for next season.
Do me a favour, drop me off in Rotherham.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to New York Talk. This is the normal of the Rotherham United podcast, but we're going to have to speak about England tonight. 2-1 England. I think Sneak's given them a bit too much credit, to be honest with you. But England are through to the quarterfinals of the European Championships. The next hour or so will be us working out how the hell we managed to get through that game. Both as individual human beings and the team themselves as well. I've got a sore throat from shouting. Nick's got a sore throat from shouting. I think probably Danny. Have you got a sore throat from shouting?
Yeah, I've sent the dog to bed in the next room because he's had enough for all the shouting as well.
Well, yeah, we're here, so let's talk about it. Nick, how are you doing first of all?
Yeah, I'm all right. I think I'm all right. I'll let you know in about half an hour or so when I've exhausted everything I can possibly say about that.
I'll take you half an hour.
Just done that now.
Danny, how are you doing, mate?
I'm doing all right. I think I've just about settled down. I thought it was the bright idea to have my mum's smartwatch to measure me my heart rate through that because I was getting more and more angry as the game went on, and it actually peaked when Bellingham scored at 120 beats per minute.
I'll have to check mine while we're on because that was we got through, Mick. Look, we got through. England got through. We'll talk about Jude in a moment because we've got to talk about that moment in a moment. But England not improving. Game on game, England not improving. And Slovakia they're not the best team we played this tournament at all. But they deserve to take our place in the quarterfinals. I thought they were much better than us. They were much more organised. They had a bit of a threat for the first hour till they tied out a little bit. It was just bad again.
Yeah, I feel as though we as a podcast and as a set of supporters should take some responsibility for this because anybody who's watching or listening who's not a Rotherham United supporter, this podcast is basically going to be a complete repeat of the one that every single one we've had for the last season, because the performance was so Rotherham United this season that it was almost inevitable that we were going to lose. And the only reason that we managed to sneak anything out of it is because they've actually got some quality inside.
Yeah.
But for 90 minutes, it was just awful. It was awful. I mean, and it really was. And it was genuinely like watching Rotherham United.
Oh, yeah.
Two or three forward passes, and then we'll go back again. We daren't go forward. We daren't commit anybody forward. We daren't. There's just nothing. There's nothing there. And then the key to this for me, and again, just like we've been saying all season, sorry to keep making reference to it, when the ball's with the back four, nobody in front of it wants it. Nobody wants the ball, with the exception perhaps of Manu, who's been a bit of a bright spark this evening, relatively speaking. There is no movement. This is an international football team full of Premier League winners and so-called Premier League elite. And the movement is it's embarrassing. It's embarrassingly bad. And I don't know where that comes from. I genuinely don't, but it's just awful.
I suppose the lucky thing is, Danny, that we played Slovakia and not Holland in the last 16. Yeah. Because as much as I just praised Slovakia a minute ago, and I feel so sorry for them. If we played a better team than Slovakia, we lose that game 2 or 3-1. If you want to count, if let's assume Jude scores, we lose the game 2 or 3-1 because we were much more wide open defensively today than we have been, and just as negative going forward as well.
Yeah, well, I think if we played opposition of higher quality, I don't even think we score against them, to be fair. Right. Again, it all falls down to pot luck, but we can't keep relying on because it will run out eventually. We got lucky with the side of the draw, with all the big hitters being on one side, even though Georgia are currently beating Spain, which I think is hilarious. So the only big hitter, if you like, historically on our side is the Netherlands, and we've avoided that as well. We got the easier draw on paper with Slovakia, but we put in the exact same performance that we put in the three previous games, which just wasn't good enough. I said to my mum at the time when Slovakia scored, if we played a team like the Netherlands or like Germany, we're 3-0 down inside 20 minutes with the way we've been playing. And it's simply not good enough. I think the one positive we can take from this game is it shows that the team do have a bit of fight to get back into a game. But my God, it takes a long time for them to realise that there is actually a game to be played. At times we were playing like we were 1-0 up, like we were against Serbia, when we were 1-0 down, which isn't good enough. And it took a moment of brilliance from Jude Bellingham to get everything going again. And it shouldn't have to come down to that. It should be on it from minute one. And we have to seriously reconsider our position in this tournament before we play Switzerland, because if we play like that against Switzerland, we lose and we go out the tournament. We should have gone out tonight, all things considered. But somehow, like we pulled it round and we got through. I think the Da Vinci Code is easier to work out than how England got through tonight, because I'm still dumbfounded as to how we did it. There's nothing from that game said to me, England are going to win this game. Nothing.
No, I agree. We'll come back to being negative in a minute, but Jude Bellingham, Mick. Football's about moments. We've talked about this a lot on Rotherham United. We've talked about many, many moments that have happened for United, a bit of special. That moment from Jude Bellingham, Harry Kane said it was one of the, in the context and the quality, it was one of the best goals in English history. And I'll be honest with you, you're not far off. It's an overhead kick to keep your team in the tournament. It's a stunning individual bit of brilliance, and it keeps England in the tournament, which they probably don't deserve to be in at this point. I agree with Harry Kane. It's right up there.
Yeah, all right, whatever.
What's better than it? Go on.
I'm not suggesting that there's loads of better goals been scored. Much better goals been scored.
In context as well.
In context, probably there's plenty as well. I can't think of any off the top of my head. Maybe 4 at Wembley in '66 might have been, but you know what I mean. And that's irrelevant ultimately. Bellingham's been pretty anonymous for most of the tournament so far, and that's to be expected given the season that he's had. You know. You can't then expect him to have that season and have that kind of season and then come along and carry an England team through Euros as well, which is what he's being expected to do essentially, because nobody else is taking up the mantle whatsoever. Harry Kane as captain is, I mean, it's not going to motivate anybody, is he? He's not. To be fair,
job, is it? That's not his job.
Well, it is his job as captain, you know, and that's the issue. Take that off him. Just make him stand in box and just pass him the ball, because he'll score your goals, and he's brilliant at that. But you know, as captain, I'm not so sure. But yeah, I mean, from a technique point of view, it's fantastic, and you know that Bellingham can and will pop up with those sorts of goals and those sorts of inputs into the game. So you know, you've got to keep him fed. And you've got to give him some help. Just there isn't any there. But yeah, it was a great goal. And the timing couldn't have been better. Well, it could have been a lot better for my heart rate, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
The 15 minutes earlier, but you know, in the context of the game, you're absolutely right. Great finish. And again, you know, when you put balls in the box, good things can happen. Just saying.
Yeah, it's a goal, Denner, that Steve Evans would have been very proud of. It's a very British goal. Long throw, flick on, goal. It's just the most English thing I've ever seen, to be honest with you. I loved it.
Yeah, I did as well. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, how we got in the position to actually score. Because nothing in the game said England are going to score. I mean, I suppose Declan Rice hit in the post early on. Earlier on in the context of it, played extra time as well. Was a bit of a, you know, we could nick something here, but like you say, it is the most English way to score a goal. Long throw, flick on, bosh, there you go, job's a good one. And like I say, Steve Evans would be proud. I mean, I was having a chat with a few of my mates, and they were saying, "Can we sub out Gareth Southgate for Steve Evans at half time? Can we substitute the manager at half time because he's not done anything?"
Are any of your mates on crack, Nanny?
No, Steve Evans. He's friends with actually Steve Evans.
Ah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Yeah. He'll be in comments soon, Steve, telling us how he made his idea to put long throw in box.
Sure. Someone else is only showing grasping at that sort of result can sometimes galvanise a side.
Yeah.
Richard says major problem is Mr. Safety won't change it for the next game. I mean, look, yeah, Bellingham saved the tournament, Mick, and put first Gareth Southgate. I think Gareth Southgate will be out anyway. I don't know, whatever. I think this is at the end of the tour, but I think he's kind of saved Southgate's legacy because if he ended on a 1-0 defeat to Slovakia in the last 16, that would be a terrible way for it to end. But now it gives them an opportunity to do something else. And I think John's right. How many times have we seen teams go on to win a major tournament having scraped past an average team, even on penalties and things like that? I really hope this is something that can Southgate can take it as a second chance. And when you get given a second chance, you've got to try and grab it. For me, this is what it is.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like Gareth Southgate. I like him a lot. He seems like a really lovely bloke, really well spoken, really intelligent. But I think he's been bitten by this modern day football bug where we've all got to play it around the back and wait until something opens up. And it's just we're not gonna shy away from that. We aren't going to move away from it. We're not going to alter our game plan in any way, shape, or form because the stats tell us that sooner or later something will happen, something will open up, and a chance will be created. Because that's what the analysts tell us, and so on and so forth. It's the modern way, and it's garbage. You know, when it doesn't work, it's utter garbage. And the last 4 games within this tournament have proved that and shown that. And the problem is that it's old news now, this style of football. Yeah. You know, it's absolutely old news because teams know how to break it down. You know, because as good as you can be, as good as teams have become at keeping possession and you know, manoeuvring the ball around the pitch and getting those little runs every now and again. Teams have worked it out, you know, and it's not happening. And all we're doing is passing the ball backwards and forwards. And I don't think Gareth Southgate has got the inclination to change that because I think he's so indoctrinated in that's the way that we're going to play. And it'll cost us, in my view. I hope I'm wrong, but I think it'll cost us the chance of winning this tournament because with the quality we've got on the side, we should be in the final and we should be challenging. I just can't see it because I don't think he'll change his ways.
No, and I think, Danny, you know, you sit here right now. If we ask, and I'm going to ask you, if somebody asks me, is England going to get past Switzerland on Saturday? My answer is probably not, because that team will not beat Switzerland. Not in a million years. Switzerland are much more organised than Slovakia. They've got better. They're not world-class players, but they've got much better individual players than Slovakia. And if England turn up like that, we're out in the quarterfinals. For me, there's absolutely no question. We've got to see something else. Yeah,
absolutely. Like you say, if we put in a showing like we did tonight against Switzerland, we lose the game probably by half time. So yeah, there has to be changes, and there has to be some sort of impetus to do better. But we've been saying that after the last 3 games and after the Slovakia game. Maybe this is the thing that galvanises the team, like we have seen it done before. I mean, even with Rotherham in the EFL Trophy when we won that, we had
similarities to that. To be honest with you, real similarities because extra time England were loads better.
Yeah, I mean the amount of times we snuck through on penalty. I think we had 3 penalty shootouts in the EFL Trophy. Yeah, and the main one being when we scraped through against Hartlepool to get to the actual final. Like that had the feeling of England v Slovakia, like just about edging it over the full length of the game, but being absolutely horrific in normal time. So for me, something has to change. I think Southgate now looks at the midfield and says, "Yeah, he got the Trent thing wrong. Thank Christ." And Maino is far better in the midfield. He's not perfect, but he's better. But he's better. But he has a decision to make now because 𝐿𝐥𝐿 can't play the quarter-final because he's suspended. So he has a decision to make there, whether he brings in 𝐁𝐞𝐬𝐭 and shuffles it or what, I don't know. He might have a question mark over Kieran Trippier as well, the only player who's been deployed at left-back, but 𝐁𝐞𝐬𝐭 seemed to do okay there. But again, that's a question to ask. And I think with Phil Foden as well, the question needs to be asked of him as well because he's shown very, very little. But when he brought Palmer on, he did so much better. And Eze did so much better when they came on. The decision to play Saka at left back for a time absolutely baffled me because you did have Joe Gomez to bring on potentially, but again, these seem to be decisions that just don't make sense at all. But because of the quality of the team, it carries us through. And I think that's the Slovakia game in a nutshell. The quality of the individual carried us through rather than the teamwork.
Bukayo Saka's a left back by trade.
He grew up a left back.
Yeah,
yes.
So I can understand that. I mean, I wasn't aware of that. I've been told that, so I'm not going to pass that fact off as my own. I was told that, but you know, that's I don't have an issue with that at all.
I did not know that, to be fair. I thought it was more of a left-sided winger player.
I thought Palmer was all right when he came on. I thought Mainu was to compare Alexander-Arnold to Mainu is just like it's like chalk and cheese. There is no comparison, and it shouldn't even be in the conversation. Alexander-Arnold, when you've got players like Mainu in there, absolutely under no circumstances should he ever be in the conversation. The conversation we should be having with him is, can you play left back, mate? You know what I mean? Because other than that, I'd just get your tracksuit on and have a comfy seat on bench because you're not getting us out. So sorry, just thought. But defensively, it's a problem for us, isn't it?
It is, yeah. We'll come on to that. Matt Connell says he's with us. He's with his partner watching us in High House. Hello, High House.
Hello.
We're in the High House. I'm sure the pubs were. Well, I haven't seen many videos from pubs yet, but I'm sure we'll see some over the next day or so.
I've seen.
I'm sure there's some beer everywhere.
I've seen the video from Box Park. I don't know if it's the Wembley one or the Croydon one, but people go absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
And Bellingham's goal goes in, as did I. To be fair.
I did as well, yeah. I got a warning on my watch for a loud environment. Mick, Harry Kane does what Harry Kane does. The guy that probably deserves a massive amount of credit for this one, I don't particularly like praising Ivan Toney, but Ivan Toney, the assist to it was just clever centre forward play. All Kane's done. I mean, it's brilliant centre forward play because Kane's just thrown his entire body at it, which is brilliant. But the goal doesn't happen if Ivan Toney's not there and kind of sets him up with that. It was a very English goal, wasn't it?
It was indeed, because it was shot. I think was it Eze or Maino? I think it was Eze that had the shot from outside the box, which was a percentage effort, wasn't it? Really, just get it back in the box or have a shot. And Toney did the right thing. To be fair, I think he got lucky. I think it came off his shoulder rather than his head. Okay. But he was aiming towards that back post area. It was quite clear to him he weren't going to score with a header from that distance with the ball at that angle. So he's put it back into the danger area. And like you said, Harry Kane does what Harry Kane does. It's amazing what happens to Harry Kane if he's in the box. We've had him on left wing. We've had him playing centre back. All these areas that he should never be in. But yeah, he's like I say, he's done what Harry Kane does, hasn't he? And he's put us through rather undeservedly, I would argue. Well, I think we've established that, haven't we? Really? From conversation.
Imagine being a Slovakian fan. On 95 minutes, you're through, and then 1 minute into extra time, you're out.
Yeah.
Just football, isn't it? Crazy.
It's horrible. It's horrible, and I feel for them because they deserve to go through. 100%, they deserve to go through.
Yeah, they did. Into extra time, Danny. I'll be honest with you, this is where England coming for a little bit of praise. I thought we managed extra time really, really well. I don't think we were massively under pressure in memory. I don't think massively. That felt more like a proper England performance of being defensively sound, which we weren't for the entire 90 minutes before that. We were back to being defensively sound. Yeah, we weren't trying to score, but we were trying to protect a lead. That giving a bit of hope for if we do manage to get a lead against somebody.
I think it goes to show that when it comes down to the crunch time, we are still very good at game management. It's just a shame we've not been in the situation where we've been comfortable enough to actually manage the game properly.
Yeah.
You could argue we managed it a little bit against Serbia, but certainly against Denmark and Slovenia, we didn't manage the game very well, and it felt like we were on the back foot. Like it felt like we were on the back foot against Slovakia for the vast majority of the 90 minutes. And to be fair, a little bit at the end of extra time as well, we sort of slipped back into cruising modes, and they put on the pressure a little bit. But when we turn the game round and we get back into it and we've gone 2-1 up, it shows we do have the mentality to manage the game and just to slow it down and keep them at arm's length. But unfortunately, we seem to try and do that when it's still 0-0, and that lets the team onto us at early doors. We need to change that. We need to manage the game when it gets called upon to do that, rather than trying to do that initially. I think going into games, we need to have that, that really vigorous start that we saw against Serbia, and then manage it a little bit better after that, rather than going ahead, sitting back, and just inviting pressure, because that gets us nowhere.
No, it don't. I agree. Richard says worst performance of the 4 games so far, which is probably true, but it's difficult to know because they've all been pretty rubbish. That Slovenia game was one of the worst games of football I've seen in a long time. John Nelson, better to be lucky than good. I mean, England are the luckiest team, mate. I mean, we looked into this draw by drawing against Slovenia and Denmark not beating a poor Serbia team. We've looked in by France and Belgium and everyone else being the other side of the draw, and then we've looked in terms of coming out of that game with anything. Again, lucky teams tend to win tournaments more often than better teams.
Yeah, they have in the past, haven't they? Well, let's wait and see. I'm not. I wouldn't put 10 pence on
No, I wouldn't.
on us progressing past the next stage, quite frankly, unless things change drastically. But the issue is, and the caveat to that is always, with this squad, it has the potential to change drastically. Because there isn't a team in this tournament that we couldn't beat on our day. And that's that. And realistically speaking, that's not just sort of being partisan about it. We've got the ability, we've got the talent there, but tactically, it's just not great. It's not great at all, and I'm not convinced that we're going to be in a position to change the way that we've played. I hope I'm wrong. I hope John's right. That we just remain lucky for the next 3 games. I'll settle for that. I'll settle for that without a doubt. But it's not going to hold out, is it? I can't see that. I can't see that happening. And I don't know. Does any of us want to actually sit through 3 more lots of 90 minutes like that?
Absolutely
really?
No.
Would it not be just safer for us to lose the next game so we don't have to go through all that for 3 more games?
Did you say no then, Danny? Was that Ben? It sounded like Ben that said no.
No, I said no. I can't be doing another 3 games of that quality, even if we do win it in added time. I don't think my blood pressure will cope with last-minute winners all the time.
Look, but we've watched 46 games of that. In fact, we have watched 46 games of that. So if anybody's in a position to know how to get it, it's us as Rotherham fans. There's not many people suffered like that in the last year.
On the flip side of that, if anyone is entitled to have the feet up and enjoy some actually good football, it is Rotherham.
That's absolutely true.
Is it too much possible that England just sit and cruise to a 4-0 win at this tournament? Apparently, yes.
Did it 3 years ago? You look at the Euro 2020. We scraped past Germany. I know we won 2-0, but it was a very, very tough game, and Germany had that chance. Then we went to play Ukraine in the quarterfinals and smashed them 4-0. So it is done. It has been done. Mick, talk to me about, you've obviously watched England for a little bit longer than us. Talk to me about 1990 springs to mind as a pretty poor group stage and scraping through against Cameroon and Belgium. And that was just get to the semi-finals. So it can be done. You can be successful in a tournament by not playing particularly well, by the sounds of it.
You can, but I would argue that nobody really expected us to get that far in 1990 or ever since, with the exception of probably 96 with it being at home. People expect this team to do well. And rightly so. The expectations level is really high, but it's really high for a reason, and that's because there's such a talented squad, And I hate to say it, but the manager's got him playing with a handbrake on, hasn't he? He really has. We're playing players out of position. It's inexcusable that we can't find somebody to play left back at this level. You know what I mean? It is absolutely inexcusable to be bringing a really dangerous on his day right winger to play at left back. It's not acceptable. So I'm being negative, aren't I? I'm being negative. I expect
anything but at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, I expect this team to do better than any of the others that I can recall seeing, because the level of ability right the way across the board is so much higher. It's so much higher. Other teams had individuals, 2 or 3 players who were excellent, but those teams for me always had players that they kind of carried. But yeah, we expect a lot more, but we expect the level of performance. That's what's so disappointing. It's so disappointing. That has to be down to the manager and his team, not just Southgate, but his team as well. They have to take the handbrake off, let these players express themselves. And if we go out in a blaze of glory, we go out in a blaze of glory. But at least, for God's sake, just don't do this to me anymore. It's horrible. I've had a full season of it. I'm sick to death on it. Genuinely, I'm thinking of giving up football.
We're still on a record of only 6 wins in normal time since August last year as teams that we support in meaningful games. Sam Darby in the comments says Southgate's to blame. Danny, England players have took a lot of stick in the past as not being bothered about England as much as their club. I don't think that's necessarily the case anymore. I do think they play up, and I think they really do care playing for the national team. But I also think Mick's right. They're playing with a handbrake on. They're going forward. There is a pass on. We're going to go sideways, or we're going to go back to Pickford, or we're going back to Stones, or whatever the case may be. It just screams Liam Richardson's Rotherham United at me, and it's just so negative and scared. Scared is one of the things I think when I look at this England team. How can they be scared? The ability that they've got, how the hell should they be walking on a football pitch scared?
Yeah, no, you're completely right. I think gone are the days of the quote-unquote golden generation where they effectively hated each other because of the teams that they played for in the Premier League. I think in the England camp itself, there is a lot of friendship and camaraderie that we've not really seen before, that we see in other international countries. And that is one of the major reasons why under Southgate we have done well at major tournaments. It's that brotherhood mentality. But like you said, at this tournament so far, the handbrake is on. And I think that's down to the tactics that are employed. I think it's very negative and very defensive. Very Rotherham United of England's how they play at the minute. It's almost like they're the underdog in the tournament and they're not playing with the chests out and with confidence. They're playing like they're scared to lose the games all the time, which isn't the mentality of a winning team. That's the mentality of a team that is surprised that they're there. And it shouldn't be like that. We should be playing with confidence and playing effectively just better football. But there's so many misplaced passes. The midfield sometimes feels all over the place until something steadies it. I think Declan Rice steadied midfield a little bit better tonight, but in previous games the midfield's been all over the place. It's just not the mentality of a team that wants to win the tournament. It's a mentality of a team that's making up numbers in the tournament, and maybe tonight shows that they are capable of doing something at this tournament, and they can take that mentality and move forward with it. But the way we approach games has to change. It can't be that extra touch and then pass it back. It needs to be progressive football. It needs to move forwards. It needs to be balls into the box first time. You know, standard football, like move the ball and move around the ball. You know, we seem to be stood still at times, and it's very negative. But I think that's because we've got too many players not performing at the best and a few players in unnatural positions. As soon as you bring in players who are naturally left-sided and play them on the left and they don't want to run in field, we're getting balls into the box that are a lot better. So for me, if Southgate can't identify that, we go out in the quarter-final easily. But if he identifies it and changes it a little bit and we actually want to move forward more, we do have a chance against Switzerland.
Yeah, we do. John Morrell says if Foden went as sideways as backwards just for City, Pep would never pick him. So it clearly is the manager.
Don't pick him to play wide left, does he?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, and why? I don't understand why he's doing that. You know, he's playing part of a front three, allegedly. Well, if he is, why is he playing? He's got chalk on his boots constantly, hasn't he? You know, he's so wide. It makes no sense. So, yeah, there are some issues in terms of what the manager is expecting of the players, and I don't think it feels like the way that they're playing that they don't really understand exactly what he wants. But what I suspect one of the things he doesn't want is taking shots from outside the box. So there were one point, I think it was Eze when he came on, he got to a position where he literally pulled the trigger and then realised that he shouldn't be doing it and misplaced the pass instead. So it's obviously what the manager is asking him to do. But Phil Foden has been ineffective, completely ineffective. A player of his talent, because he's playing so wide. Why is he playing out there?
Because Bellingham's got to play at 10.
Well, yeah.
Or like we're playing, saying at start tournament, play Bellingham deeper.
Yeah. But I think if Southgate wants to insist on Bellingham playing as a 10, we've said this before, you can't play Foden because he wants to cut inside and play as a 10. You need to play someone who's more of a, like you say, a player who's more comfortable with chalk on his boots. You know, I thought Eze did really well out there, though. Eze is very tricky out there. All right, he might not be as natural as a winger, but he did really well out there. He was tricky, and it's the tricky players that trip up the other teams, and Eze did really well.
Yeah, he did. Played well when he came on.
He did fine, but for me, Gordon should be coming in front of him every time. I much prefer Gordon to Eze.
I would say it's a toss-up between Gordon and Eze on the left, and Foden should be utilised as a number 10 replacement for Bellingham. Or if he wants to play Bellingham deeper, like you say, then you can bring Foden in as the 10.
Yeah. Chris Taylor says this England team shows how bare the Premier League is of clashing. I completely disagree, because I think there's some wonderful players, world-class players in this football team, but they're not being played properly. They're not being. The tactics they are being coached into are not right. That's the problem. I wonder if the players are too good for Southgate in terms of his tactics. I don't wonder. I know that Southgate's clearly more of a man manager rather than a tactical genius.
Southgate would make a good assistant manager, I think.
He'd make a good guy upstairs.
Like
director of football.
Yeah.
Because he's like Mick mentioned, he's a clever guy. He knows football. He gets it, but the tactics sides are clearly beyond him. To be honest with you,
there's a school for football managers, isn't there? And Matt Taylor is a perfect prime example of this.
Are you blaming Matt Taylor for performance tonight?
Let me come on to that. I'll come on to that in a minute.
We need to get like a bell that says it's Taylor's fault.
He's a prime example of it, isn't he? You know, and Russell Mine's another one. You know, this is how we play. This is how we have to play. No. I don't care that it's not working. This is how we have to play because this is it. This is the way forward, and it's not. You know, you've got to be adaptable, and unfortunately, I don't think that Southgate and a lot of managers of his ilk are adaptable enough. It may work. I mean, when John mentioned it earlier in the comments, you know, this possession-based football is fine if you play the ball faster, but we're not doing that. Why are we not doing that? Lord only knows. I mean, John Stones, the last 2 games when he's had the ball at his feet, it looked like he's wondering what it is. You know,
that chance with the Walker free kick that they nearly scored from.
He's almost as if he's never seen a football before, let alone played the game. And it's literally every time he gets the ball to his feet. I don't know what it is. Perhaps it's the fact that there's absolutely no movement whatsoever in front of him at all for the whole 90 minutes. Because that's where we are with it, innit? But anyway, listen, we're going around in circles here, and we're basically saying the same things over and again, aren't we? That we've said all season. Sorry, all night and all season.
Yeah. Switzerland up next. The good thing for us is history's on our side in terms of Switzerland. They've only ever made one quarter-final of a major tournament, and that's the one that they hosted in 1954. Just on that, just looking through their history, and this is a side point, they lost 7-5 to Austria in the quarter-final. It was 5-4 after 39 minutes.
Bloody hell.
And ended 7-5 to Austria. And also on that one, the referee was from Scotland, and his name was Charlie Faultless, which is an ironic name for a referee.
That's very good.
Tonight's referee just added to the championship field, didn't he? Of the
Awful,
game.
wasn't it?
Oh my God.
Absolutely dreadful.
Matt and Mick can back me up on this. I was fully losing my mind at the referee, and the game had only been played for 7 minutes. I was in the group chat. I was fully off the anger with this referee. Did we find out which country it was from?
Turkey. Do you know? And obviously, this. I'll be careful what it says. Do you remember there was a story in Turkey about the Turkish referee being punched by the chairman?
Yes, I do remember that.
This is the referee that got attacked by the president of the Turkish club.
Is it?
So that's obviously wrong and should never happened. But the refereeing standard, and just give you an example of where we've refereed before.
I mean, to be fair, Slovakia's manager went after him at full time and then had a set of rights.
It was just the amount of yellow cards inside the first 17 minutes, whatever it was, and then the lack of them in the rest of the game for some of those Slovakian players was insane. It was just, I can't remember who the referee was we had this season, but in the first half he was giving yellow cards left, right, and centre. And then second half, he gave 0. It was kind of like that, like he reset after 20 minutes.
Yeah, it was bizarre, wasn't it? I mean, what I put in our group chat that there's no way this is going to end up with 22 players left on pitch at end. Yeah. And the fact that it did, I don't know. Somebody's obviously, I don't know if somebody had a word with him at half time or halfway through the first half, saying, "No, then mate, you better calm down," because he kind of carded himself into a corner, didn't he?
Yeah.
So quickly, and it was just. Like I said, it carries on the championship theme almost of what we've talked about from this game in terms of the standard of England and the way that they played. The referee kind of joined in with that, and it was just massively inconsistent. One petty little challenge that the yellow card that Manu got,
honestly
bizarre, utterly bizarre, and the yellow card that Bellingham got. I mean, what a fantastic tackle right in front of the referee's nose, right under his nose. And he gets a yellow card for it. It was bizarre. And yet there are others which were worse, much more difficult, much more worthy of yellow card challenges. And they were just ignored. So, yeah, not great. But then, I mean, some of the decision making in this tournament has been, what's the word, questionable.
I think it's been fine other than English referees, but there we go.
Let's talk about that before we finish.
Wayne says, even Keith Stroud was watching that performance thinking, bloody hell, mate, you're having a merry.
Yeah, but only because he didn't manage to get himself centre of attention, and Keith would have. That's
true, actually. Yeah, Keith got more screen time, wouldn't
he? Yeah, definitely.
He needs to, I don't know who the referee's name was, but get in touch with Keith Stroud at the PGM Well. He'll give you some tips. I have to get on telly a bit more. The referee wanted to start.
Keith Stroud is the expert referee, to be fair.
That'd be funny, to be fair. How did you get with Sam Matterface's commentator, mate? You managed to get through without putting your foot through telly? You were all right?
Yeah, just about. I obviously learned what Kieran Trippier's grandma had for a breakfast in 1937, which was nice. I just wish he'd shut up. That's all. You know,
Yeah.
I just shut up because it's tedious, it's boring, and it's just I got on with it. I had no choice.
Yeah. It's on BBC next. Quarterfinals on BBC, so you don't have to put this on Matterface then. Unless you really miss him, then also you can watch highlights on ITV.
No, no, not at all.
Yeah.
Hang on, I've just thought of something. Isn't there a thing about the ITV curse? How England have never won a game, well, until tonight, at a major tournament when it's been shown on ITV.
They fixed that in 2018.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
it was, but after we beat Colombia on penalties, I think that fixed it.
Like it was something that was broken. Yeah.
A curse is a curse. We between me and my friends, we had a curse that we've never sat and watched England together and won a game. And tonight is the first time.
Friends.
I've got they allow me to sit next to them and watch football. Friends, you know.
Apparently, there's a round of 16 curse because whenever the Euros have had a round of 16, the winners the previous Euros have always gone out in the round of 16. Because Spain won it 2012, went out in 2016. Portugal won it 2016, went out in 2020. Italy won it 2020, and they've gone out in the round of 16 this time around as well.
Shall we just talk about Italy for a second? Because that's very funny. That was extremely funny.
It was, yeah.
I mean, let's be fair. If we were talking about saying that England's performance tonight has been rather Rotherham United, nowhere near as close to Rotherham United as Italy's yesterday. Absolutely woeful.
I think Italy was Field United by comparison.
It's the manager's fault of that stupid Italia on his jacket. They deserve to lose just because of that. That was
so funny. That was probably the funniest moment of the tournament so far.
It was quite funny. We'll talk about. I've got some Rotherham stuff to pick up in a minute, but Mick, do you want to just give us your rundown on Michael Oliver, handball, Stuart Atwell? Just a quick couple of minutes on this. Let's not.
He says just these are words that I never, ever, ever, ever expected to hear at a major tournament. Stuart Atwell on VAR. Oh my word! At what point, in what universe, did anybody ever think that was going to be a good idea? How was that ever going to work out well? It just bizarre. The offside. They're looking at that Denmark game, and the offside's the offside. I don't agree with it. I don't like it, but you know the rules there, and the line's going to be drawn somewhere, isn't it? You know, and if you make a thicker line, it's still going to be offside. You know what I mean? Yeah. It makes the difference. So that side of it is one part of it. That ball's it's just a joke. It's an absolute joke. You know, no, I don't think anybody knows. I don't think any of us understand what the handball rule is. You know, I always is supposed to get out of the way of that from so close. I thought maybe this week it's different. I don't know, but you know, I thought proximity was an issue.
I did. Yeah, I agree.
Maybe, like I said, it's not an issue anymore this week. No, I just don't know. If it is, there is no way that should ever be called. No way on this earth. So, you know, you got to feel for Denmark. You know, they score a goal, they go ahead, or they think they go ahead, and it's disallowed, I guess, arguably, rightly so, for a 3 millimetre offside infraction. They go up there, Germany go up the other end, kick the ball at one of their players' hands, essentially, and they get a penalty for it, and Germany go on and score that and win the game. It's frustrating. I don't blame Atwell for it. I don't blame Oliver for it. I do blame IFAB and UEFA for their monumental cock-ups in writing the definitions of the laws of the game. It's just, it beggars belief, really. It beggars belief that they have to complicate things so much. It's just ridiculous, and it's horrible. It ruins the game, doesn't it? It just ruins the game. It's just sickening that we have to put up with this utter nonsense and drivel. I just don't know. I don't know. Yeah, it's just. But I mean, John's mentioned here that the American ref woman who was on ITV saying now that IFAB have taken the proximity rule out of the handball rules. Well, does anybody know when that happened? Is anybody going to tell anybody else, or are they just going to wait while something happens and then, you know what I mean? Why do we keep changing it? Well, there is a good answer to that, because it's crap in the first place. You know, we don't think it through. And it's horrible. It's ruining the game. It's absolutely ruining the game. And it's not VAR that's doing it. It's the rules.
It's the rules. Yeah. As is often the case.
Yeah.
Clive Tilsley said on the commentary that the on-ball rule essentially needs to be rubbed out, Danny, and started again. Not a massive fan of Clive Tilsley, to be honest with you, but I thought I got that pretty spot on, really. It's just forget about it, get rid of it, get somebody else, get somebody who don't really even have to understand football, right? Handball, work out what the handball rule is, and we'll go from there. Because I think that might be the easiest thing to do. Yeah. Although, it gets me from cricket, because Snicker's now a thing in football for some reason.
Where did that come from?
Honestly, no idea. That was bad. Go on. Sorry,
Danny. Yeah, I agree completely. That the thing with handballs in football, like the American ref says, just for the record, I can't stand her. Like I don't know what it is. I think it's just a voice, and she sounds really patronising. Not because she's American, but I don't know.
No, it's because she's a referee, Danny. That's why.
Yeah, there's that as well, potentially. But Roy Keane's face with some when she comes out with some stuff is an absolute picture. It's brilliant. Anyway, with the handball rule, like you said, IFAB have overcomplicated it because they've put proximity out of it. But the whole thing with the handball rule, it allows the referee to make that decision, effectively to do his job. Sounding like Roy Keane there, but to do his job in making the decision, is it handball or is it ball to hand? But proximity plays a part in that, because you cannot react quick enough to a ball travelling that fast from 2 yards away from you. So it's ridiculous that they've took proximity out of it. If he's 10 yards away, he's got time to react and bring his arm out of position. But it's the fact he's 2 yards away with a ball that's travelling 90 miles an hour. Your brain cannot react quick enough. So for me, it's ball to hand, because the human body can't react quick enough.
Ball to hand. That used to be a thing, didn't it?
Yeah.
Ball to hand was the thing you said when it's not kind of,
Yes, but they've took that out. They've took out the human aspect of it. And by definition of the law, it is handball. But that's the thing. Football is a game where human error human error might be a bit strong. Human decision-making plays a factor, because it's a free-flowing sport. Rugby is very set-piece based, as is cricket, as is baseball, American football, whatever. They're all a little bit set-piece based, so there is more of a clear line of what is what needs to have a decision made against it and what doesn't. But with the handball rule, because of how fast the ball moves and how free-flowing the positions are in football, proximity has to play a part in it. And the fact that IFAB have took it out is stupid. But then it goes back to what you've just said. Bring someone in who's independent to look and say that's handball, but that human factors in that, so it's different. But the thing for me with the American ref, she said, I can't remember what it was, but she said about getting 75% of it right. And I think Roy Keane's face spoke for everybody, because it was a daft comment, and it makes it sound like that she hasn't got an idea as well. And I'm not going after female refs, because there are some exceptional female refs in English football. So why aren't they the experts?
Yeah. Tom Reynolds, not a game I fell in love with as a young kid. Richard says, because your uncle is a name, so she's awful. I've seen some people on Twitter say she thinks she's brilliant. I just think it's unnecessary, to be honest with you. I don't think we need refereeing experts.
Well, this is the thing that I've said in the past. Why have we got a refereeing expert as a pundit on the telly when we can do what they do in rugby and listen to what the referees are saying and listen to their decision making? That'd be far more informative than whatever they've got on ITV, because it just doesn't work. It's the same with Mike Dean on Soccer Saturday. There's no point in him being there. Let's listen to what the referees have to say. The referees in football are such a protected position because we hear nothing from them other than when you get an apology in the post, and that's it. You know, we need to hear what the referees say. They need to, maybe not to the point of being questioned about it, but at least let us hear the decision making. They've done a little bit of it on Sky Sports, but after the game's finished, let us hear it live. Let us hear what VAR is saying to them, because it might help us understand their position more rather than having a so-called expert explain it to us afterwards, because people will switch off because they've made the decision up, their mind up with the decision already. Let us hear it live.
The devil's advocate that would be that, and I don't necessarily agree with this, but if you hear the reasoning and you think the reasoning is stupid, that's going to cause more arguments.
Well, this is the thing. This is the issue, and this is what I keep saying to you about this. I wouldn't be a referee for a gold pig, not for a gold pig, because they've made these rules and laws, or whatever they want to call them, so subjective. So much of it is down to opinion that nobody's ever going to. You're never going to get a consistent result. You know, you've got Stuart Atwell at one end of the spectrum who just makes decisions just to be different to everybody else, and then you've got other people trying to implement them properly at the other end, and everybody else in between, and everybody's doing it differently because the wording of the law, the wording of the rule is such that it can be interpreted in many, many different ways. It's bizarre that this is a thing. You know, it really is. And what happens is they just complicate it more and more and more. I don't know. I don't understand what is wrong with these people. I genuinely don't.
No, I don't.
This is not difficult. This is not rocket science. It is dead straightforward. You keep it as simple as you possibly can, because that way everybody's on the same page, or 99% of people are on the same page. Obviously, Stuart Atwell will be on 3 pages behind you, but
Chris says, "Oh my God, yes, snickometer." I just never see it. Did anybody need snickometer to know it hit his hand? We all know it hit his hand. Hitting a hand wasn't the question. We could see that with our eyes. Just that was just crazy. But anyway, moving on. Brief bit of Rotherham United stuff. We had a tweet today suggesting, and I think this is almost certainly correct, that a lot of the players that had clauses in their contract to leave would be done today. So they were 30th of June when I think 30th of June when most of the contracts run out, to be honest with you. So that'll be when the clauses run out. We actually don't know for certain who those are. But to be fair, Mick, we're probably not here about it today because anything they do, we rarely hear any Rotherham news from the club on a Saturday or Sunday anyway.
No, we don't. It'll be next week before we hear anything about it, won't we? So let's just sit back and wait and see who gets transfer listed and who doesn't.
No news is good news, though, isn't it?
You would hope so, yeah. You would hope so, because whoever the players are, and I think we've all got a rough idea who we think that they might be. They're all pretty crucial players, really, given one, the size of the squad, and two, the quality of the ones that we think that they are. So it depends what Evans wants, doesn't it? You know, it may well be that they don't want to keep some of these players if they don't fit with his idea. I'm going to say vision. I won't say vision. Idea of what he wants us to do. So, next few days will be interesting. It'll be interesting to see whether or not we'll lose anybody. I hope we don't. Quite honestly,
I'm with you.
Yeah.
The other bit of news, and thank you to Sam Clucas for this one. Sam Darby says Sam Clucas gone. Now, Danny, me and you were sat there at the fans forum when they were asked about this, and they asked a direct question about Sam Clucas. And I'll be honest with you, we didn't talk about it Thursday, but the way Rob Scott rolled it off, and it's as written in the article by Paul Davis, was about how he looked at his history and looked at his age and there was these potential issues of getting, as you're getting older, you get injured more.
Yeah.
We then go on to sign 7 or 8 mid-30 players. But then Sam Clucas responded and replied to the article with several laughing faces. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't know how you felt at the time. And for me, that response from Rob Scott felt pretty flimsy. And I don't know why they didn't just come out and say Steve Evans didn't really want Sam Clucas going forward, or Sam Clucas rejected the offer. What I didn't really understand the answer. It doesn't make sense to me.
No, it don't. Like I said, Rob Scott's answer was probably one of the more political answers of the night. He sort of danced about the topic without quite answering it. He sort of said everything that we sort of go, oh yeah, fair enough, but it wasn't a concrete answer. Like the whole thing about his age and this, that, and the other. But then it's like, well, why have we brought in Alex McDonald
and Liam Kelly?
Exactly. So it sort of, to me anyway, they tried to just to sugarcoat it, when in actuality something may have happened between him and Steve Evans, and Sam Clucas is laughing at it because it's just not the truth. You know, maybe it wasn't as natural as a thank you very much, see you later. Maybe there was something more to it, but I suppose only really Sam Clucas can answer that from his point of view. So Sam, if you're watching, you can come on the podcast and tell us all the tea if you like, and let us know how wrong the club are. But to me, it comes across that Sam Clucas did want to stay and wanted to have another year with us, but it was probably something Steve Evans saw in him that said, "No, I'm not going to offer you a contract."
Yeah, I mean, it'd been very, very available, Nick. His availability was actually quite good post Matt Taylor. I don't know. It just feels an unnecessary story that the club could have avoided by just saying, "Yeah, Steve Evans didn't want him," or whatever.
Yeah. Would have been a lot easier, wouldn't it? Steve Evans will not want a character like Sam Clucas in the dressing room, because Sam Clucas is an experienced footballer who will challenge people like Steve Evans. No question about it, he will. And Evans doesn't want people like that in his dressing room. So, I mean, I'm really, really disappointed in Rob Scott. Not entirely surprised, but really disappointed that he thinks that we as supporters are stupid enough to believe the corporate nonsense that they want to spout. We're not stupid. We're not idiots. You know, don't tell us something that is so patently not true that, you know what I mean? Why would you do that? Why would you say he's injury prone and he's too old and then sign an injury prone old player? Why? You know, it makes no sense. Just be honest and open. That's all people want. People just want the hierarchy of the club to be honest and open and take responsibility as well. We've talked about that last time. At the moment, we're not doing either of those things.
Yeah, the quote is that Sam did well for us, but he was at the older end of the age spectrum. One of the deciding factors was his age and the potential for him to pick up more injury as he gets another year older.
So he's younger than two of the players that we just signed.
Yeah.
So why would you even think about using that? You know, if you're going to lie, which it clearly is a lie, it has to be a lie because we've gone and signed two players older than him, further along that age spectrum. Whether they're injury prone or not, I don't know, but he's not saying that Sam Clucas is injury prone. He's just saying because of his age is likely to pick them up. Why would you use that when it's so patently not true? Because you just signed somebody older.
Yeah.
So how can that possibly be true? We're not stupid. I mean, come on. Just treat us with a little bit of respect. And this is why it's comments like that and behaviour like that that turn people against the club and turn people against the hierarchy of the club, because they treat you like you're an idiot, and we're not idiots. I mean, that is just such a stupid comment in the context of what's going on. Bizarre. It's utterly bizarre.
And knowing that there's another guy on the end of it, you know, this is not like not a person, an object that can't respond.
Well, exactly.
There's a guy there who's alive and available to read this article, and obviously has chose to respond in the way that it has.
Yeah. It's just bizarre, and it's hugely disappointing. Hugely disappointing, but I would expect it from somebody like Tony Stewart because of his personality and his. Let's describe it as self-confidence rather than arrogance, but you know what I mean. But Rob Scott, I thought better of him, and I find that really disappointing. A disappointing lot of what Paul has described it as there.
Yeah. Paramount said didn't want him because of his age, but we haven't signed any better. I'd have kept some. It's one of those. I'd have kept Sam Clucas. But if Steve Evans doesn't think he's right for the team, great. That's fine.
Steve Evans, I want him.
Steve Evans, he's in charge. It's up to him. If he doesn't think he's good, that's fine.
And that's the point. Just be honest. That's what a fans forum's all about. It's about honesty between the club officials and the fans. If it had come out and said we didn't want to re-sign Clucas because Evans wanted a guy who he knows and trusts and who's played for him before, we'd have gone, that's fine. We'd have liked to have kept Clucas, but that's fine. Evans is the guy who's running the football at the club. But like I said, come out with the where's the comment? Total bovine manure, as Paula Rose says, which is a perfect description of it. Just screams dishonesty, and we don't want that at our football club. We want this is the reason why. And so we have the option to take it at face value because, like I say, Matt, we're not stupid. We can see what's been said, and then look at Clucas' response and just go, "Well, hang on, that's something that's not quite right."
And Clucas has got nothing to gain by that response, by the way.
Exactly.
He could just ignore it.
Exactly.
But whether or not he'd made any comment, I didn't realise he'd made any comment to it. To be honest, or made, yeah. It's I don't know. Danny's used the word dishonesty there. I'm not entirely convinced that's the right word, but
it might be a bit strong. Yeah,
it might be. It might be right, but it's a complete lack of respect for the people that support the football club
and Sam Clucas. Let's let you know.
And Sam Clucas as well. Yeah.
This guy's played pretty well for us over the last year. He's played through injuries under Liam Richardson.
Yeah.
And we're just bombing him under the bus.
It's not good enough, and we've said it before, or I've said it before, and YouTube users mentioned it in the comments there. These fans forums are a waste of time. I don't know why people ask for them. I don't know why people go to them, and more importantly, I cannot get my head around why anybody expects to learn anything from them. Because you're not going to get anything. They will not tell you anything under this current regime. I'm sorry, most regimes, but certainly this one, we can't even stick out on them and say, "Yeah, we need to share the blame in what happened last week." Last season. It's bizarre. So anyway, that's me. Free biscuits, like John said. If we
didn't get free biscuits, we didn't get free biscuits.
We got pies though.
Danny got 2 pies.
Yeah. If I'd have brought a bag, there would have been a lot more pies. With me, but
Chris Taylor says he said it was also because of the history of injuries of last year. I've read the article. There's nothing about history in there. That if he just said that, I could have bought that and played into it and understood it. There's no references to his history last year.
But his injury record with us wasn't that bad to say when we signed him, and apparently his age is an issue. It wasn't the worst thing in the world.
It was almost ever present from around Christmas time to the Swansea game in end of March.
Yeah. I think he had a better injury record with us than Sean Morrison did.
Well, that's not
hard. That's not hard, like, fair enough, but
I played more minutes than Morrison.
Just to put it into context, it wasn't like the worst of the bunch. It was at the right end of it. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, what kind of pie were it, Danny? I assume steak pie.
Yeah, steak pie. I got peas with the first one, but not the second one because it'd run out, and then there was just very nice gravy.
It depends on your definition of steak as well, John.
Oh dear. Let's move on. Let's finish. Anything else?
You may once have seen a cow.
Anything else we need to mention we'll come back on Thursday anyway. We'll do a bit of a preview for the Switzerland game, a bit more in-depth preview. I'll see if we find anything more about the 7-5 game because that sounds like a lot of fun from 1954.
Yeah.
Oh God, yes. Please do, Matt. See if you can do the full report.
I'll enjoy it.
Anything else, boys, you need to mention?
No, I think so.
No, I don't think so.
Wonderful, because I am absolutely exhausted.
Yeah.
I've been watching England tonight. I am so tired. But we're going to do it again next Saturday, aren't we? So
I maybe won't be.
I just spare a thought for the people. I know Danny potentially working. Spare a thought for the people that are going on an all-day session to watch ratings. Because you're going to sit through the England game.
Put it on, you never know.
You are?
They might put it on, you never know.
I'm not sure that's better. Because you've got to sit there and get exhausted watching that England game. And then you've got to go jump around to this amazing music. You'll just be a mess of a person by the time. But yeah, we'll talk about that on Thursday. Thank you all, everybody, for being with us. Please subscribe on YouTube if you haven't done so already. We'll be back on Thursday evening to talk about any Rotherham news that may pop up between now and Thursday, and we'll talk about England again and the rest of the European Championship. The quarterfinals will be ready to be talked about on Thursday. If you haven't done already, please do nominate us. In the show notes is the nomination form for the Football Content Awards. If you could do so, we would be ever so appreciative. That's under the EFL Content Creator section, Football Content section, sorry. If you are on iTunes and Spotify, make sure you've subscribed on there and give us a 5-star rating wherever it allows you to do so. And we are going to get on about a new intro as well. We'll get onto our man to get a new one because I'm fed up of looking at that one. As much as it's a brilliant intro, I'm fed up of just hearing positivity about it. So we'll get onto our man and see what we can do by getting a new one. Whatever. Mick, thank you.
Very welcome, my friend.
Thank you. And Danny as well. Thank you very much, mate.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
We'll see you next time and might just be coming home.
No. Don't start.
Into Wales through a goal, slots it beyond Foderingham, and the Millers are in front in the South Yorkshire derby. And for the first time in 42 years, Rotherham United win at Bramall Lane. On the edge of the box, the Dauphin, he can hit them, and he does. The Dauphin has scored an absolute screamer for Rotherham United. Rotherham United have secured their championship status for next season.